tipping it down with rain outside, but it's really cozy here in my country cottage kitchen, and there's only one thing for it. This evening I'm going to be cooking up a very hearty, rather boozy mushroom bourguignon. So you want to make sure that your pan is nice and hot before adding a globule of rapeseed oil. And once that's heated, we want to add about a tablespoon of butter. And then once your butter starts to foam and brown, you want to add in your crushed garlic cloves and coat them in all that lovely butter and oil. Next up, we add the mushroom quarters. And then we add just a dash of hot water to create some steam. Coat all that in that lovely butter and garlic. I'm going to season that with just a little bit of salt, Himalayan salt, and some cracked black pepper. Now I'm going to pop the lid on and let that cook on a low to medium heat for around 10 minutes. So look what happens after 10 minutes. All those lovely juices from the mushrooms run out. So now we're going to leave this uncovered for another 10 minutes so that all these lovely juices can evaporate. And after 10 minutes, the liquids come out and you need to scrape up the flavoursome bits at the bottom of the pan. And now I'm going to add a couple of tablespoons of tawny port to the mix. I've been slightly over a couple of tablespoons, if I'm honest. And I'm just going to let that cook for another sort of 4 to 5 minutes just to burn off the alcohol. I know, shame, right? So now that this is reduced down beautifully and all the port is burnt off, I'm going to discard the 2 crushed garlic cloves. I'll save those for later. And we're going to set the mushrooms aside in a bowl. And now it's time to make the sauce. So put another generous globule of rapeseed oil into the pan. And once that's hot, we're going to add butter again. Very healthy. Vegan butter, of course. In goes the butter. And once that's melted down nicely, we're going to add the Mirepoix vegetables for flavour, our carrot chunks, our onion chunks, and our celery chunks. I also like to add the mushroom stems because they give it lots of flavour. Pop the lid on and cook for a few minutes until it softens a little. Okay, so now they're nice and soft. I'm going to add the garlic cloves we took out from the mushrooms. Mix those in and season with just a little, not too much, Himalayan salt to sweat out the flavours from the vegetables. This is your Mirepoix. And I'm going to add around a tablespoon of tomato puree. There. Stir that all in to cover all the vegetables nicely. And I'm cooking with stainless steel pans because they're really the safest. And these beautiful pans I got last year for Christmas, and they are by Flint & Flame, as are my knives. I love it. I'm going to sprinkle in a couple of tablespoons of all-purpose flour and coat the vegetables nicely. And this is essentially what I guess you would call your roux. Only we don't make a separate roux when making bourguignon. We coat all the vegetables. You notice that things are starting to stick to the pan. So we have another trick now. Rather delightful one. I'm going to add some cognac to deglaze the pan. Told you it was boozy. You want to scrape up all the flavours from the bottom of the pan. Also add a dash of hot water. And next it's time for the famous bourguignon ingredient, red wine. I'll be quite generous here. We can put some more in a bit. Maybe I'll save a little to drink. So pop that in. Give everything a good stir. It smells good. The alcohol from the cognac and the wine also helps to thicken the starch and then thicken the sauce, essentially. Well, that's coming on nicely. Look at that. And now, to ensure some really rich flavour, I'm adding in about half a tablespoon of dark hachal miso. And I also have a little porcini mushroom powder. Porcinis are so flavoursome, and this just adds, oh, some beautiful, beautiful flavours. How did I get the powder? Dried porcini mushrooms and then blitz them down to a powder in a blender. And they add flavour and heartiness to lots of mushroom dishes. Give that all a nice stir. Oh, that's coming on really nicely. Now I'm going to reduce this liquid down to about half before the next bit. Yeah, it's a slow living dish, that's for sure. And I love a little bit of slow living. So good for you. So now that's really reduced down, and I'll show you what it looks like. Oh, just look at that. Beautiful. Funny thing is, now that the liquid's come out, I'm going to add some more. This is just a bit of hot water. I feel like a witch stirring a cauldron. Halloween is over, but I'll always be a witch. So I'm going to pop in a couple of bay leaves, plop, plop, and also some dried rosemary, just about a teaspoon, and some dried thyme, again about a teaspoon. And stir all those flavours in. Smelling delicious. Oh, so good. And now I'm going to let that simmer for around 25 minutes. I told you it's not a quick fix, right? So from time to time, we'll stir the pan, scrape up the flavoursome bits from the bottom, and ensure we've got everything. Don't want to miss a treat. Of course, it's fundamental that you have a tasting spoon. The gold is optional. Oh, yeah, that's coming on really nicely. So there we go. Once again, you have a nice thick sauce. And the next part is actually to strain the sauce through the sieve so that we discard all of the Mirepoix vegetables. Now you want to be sure to get absolutely all of that lovely sauce through the sieve before you discard your Mirepoix vegetables. And now I'm going to add the strained sauce back to the pan again. And this is where, if you have some pearl onions, they're really nice to go in Bourguignon. I don't have any, but I do have those lovely mushrooms. So make sure we get all of the sauce. This is where the beauty of having a spatula is great, because look at that. You can really scrape everything up with a silicone spatula. Now I'm going to add the mushrooms back to the sauce. Wow. And now I add a couple more tablespoons of red wine. 1, what do you reckon? 2, ish. Lovely. And you never guess what? That's going to cook on a low heat for another 20 minutes. Told you. This is no quick fix. It needs love, care, and attention. Mwah. I have to say, it's beautiful. Beautiful. Now, lastly, I'm going to add a couple of drops of rosemary essential oil and a couple of drops of thyme essential oil. This is where the magic happens. And finally, I've chopped up some parsley, so we're going to pop that in. That's the very last thing. Stir that all in. And I think it's ready to serve. Finally, right? Finally! So I'm serving this up with some mashed potato squash. Not mashed potato squash, which I have, I'll put a link into the video below. I've done it with garlic and roasted it. Oh God, it's so good. So, oh, look at this. Mamma mia, probably should have used a ladle, but hey ho, avoid dripping it everywhere. My goodness gracious me. Hope it's worth the wait, right? Now for the verdict. Here goes. Oh my goodness, that is absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Mmm. Cheers. And I tell you what, if you end up making this recipe, please do let me know. It's so good. Ciao, ciao.